I have no idea how I'm going to start talking about this. I hate making videos about money stuff. It makes me feel so uncomfortable. And every time I have to talk about my earnings or like anything financial related, it just gives me severe anxiety. So I apologize, but it's a big update that I have for you guys. So I have to do this video. As you might have gleaned from the title of this video, I've decided to finally leave Patreon. There are many reasons for this, and I'm going to go over all those reasons. Now, first of all, if you're unfamiliar with what Patreon is, it is a website with which creators can use to gather crowdfunding in support of their content creation that's outside of the platforms that they're making the content on. So it's sort of like a middleman. You can donate to it and it goes to the creator, basically. That was pretty much the sole mission of Patreon when it was first created. And at the time when I joined in 2018, there really was no other alternatives except for like direct PayPal. There was no way to like donate on a monthly subscription basis or anything like that. So Patreon was really kind of the only option. And back then it was pretty simple. It did what it needed to do, and it only had a 5% transaction fee, which means that Patreon will only take 5% of all of the donations that came through to the creator. And so that didn't bother me at all back then because that was just like how things were and there was really no other way to do it. So Patreon was really fundamental and useful for me when I started going full-time content creation because it was about half of my income for a long time when I first started. And the people supporting me on Patreon back then, some of you guys are still supporting me on Patreon today. I still have about 100 people who contribute monthly to me, which is crazy to think about people wanting to actually like make monthly donations to me so I can keep doing this. It means so much to me. And one of the reasons why I've stayed with Patreon is just because I'm terrified of moving to another platform because I feel like no doubt I'm going to lose some of that money. Now today, I don't make as much on Patreon as I used to anymore. And I think that's for a lot of reasons, but I don't want to downplay the support that I do get there because it's still a ton of like my percentage of my earnings every month. And that's why I've been so scared to do this. But over the years, things on the platform have changed so much that I finally feel like I just need to get out of there. There's probably never going to be a good time to do it. I don't think there's ever going to be a point where I'm so comfortable financially that it won't be a risk. I don't think that's a realistic expectation for my channel. So anyway, there are better alternatives. And the alternative that I'm going to go to is Ko-Fi, which does all of the same things as Patreon does, except it's simplified. People don't have to log in to make donations, and people can make single donations or monthly donations. The best part is the single donations have no fees, 0. I've actually been using Ko-Fi for about a year just for that purpose. You might have seen me promoting my Ko-Fi, like buy me a coffee. And I love it for live streams because, it can set the sound effect and it always pops up on live stream. The bot works really well. And that's really important for me because I'm a live streamer too, and I need that integration. And Patreon just feels like it's a separate bubble of its own thing. And I've never really figured out how to integrate it very well with my community. I try to make posts on Patreon. There's no interaction whatsoever on any posts I make for the patrons there. I have no idea if anyone is like watching the videos that I post there, or there'll be like 1 or 2 hearts, like interactions on every video, on every post, no matter what it is. And I don't know, it just feels like it doesn't work for what I want it to do. Okay, so first I'm going to explain. I have some notes here, okay? So what I need personally from a platform like this is a simple way for viewers to contribute to the growth of my channel with either a one-time donation or a monthly contribution of their choice. I also need the ability to offer rewards to contributors and the ability to efficiently and effectively communicate with you guys. Not only the people that are contributing, but, everyone. I need good live stream integration because that's very important for me. I am half and half. YouTuber and live streamer. So I definitely need that. And gosh, it would sure be nice if there was less fees, because it really makes me sad to look at how much I've earned on Patreon since 2018 and then think about how they've taken such a huge chunk of that. It just went right to Patreon. I don't know. That makes me sad. So not only does Ko-Fi provide all of those things, but it also has 0 fees for one-time donations, which is huge since Patreon has been taking 5% of everything that I have made on Patreon since 2018. Now, as a side note, I'm only paying 5% of all donations on Patreon plus processing fees because I have the founders plan. And that means I'm grandfathered into the OG plan that Patreon had in the beginning because I signed up before they increased their prices. But if you try and join Patreon now, after they've increased their prices, everyone else has to pay at least 8% of their earnings back. And if you want the additional premium features, you have to pay 12% of your earnings back to Patreon. Ugh, gross. So I just don't like the business model. I don't agree with it. I don't think that they're the way that they're building the business and the changes they've made over the years just don't really align with me as a content creator anymore. And it sucks. You know, I need the service, but now there's just better places to do the same thing with less fees, and also better services that actually seem like they are putting creators first and in the features that they're adding and how they interact with the community of creators that use the platform, namely Ko-Fi. So as you can see, I want to also talk about Ko-Fi. I probably should have mentioned all this before, but the reasons why, here's my list of exact reasons why I don't want to support Patreon any longer, okay? Increased fees over the years with advanced features locked behind big paywalls of 8% or 12% of creators' earnings, which is much, much higher than the competitors that also offer memberships. They also removed features that I liked for some reason. The main one that I can think of is the goal feature, which I love, and that was very popular, I think, on Patreon, and I really like to use it on Ko-Fi as well. They have a goal feature, but I was so confused why they removed that. It just was like, here's the goal that I'm working towards, and here's why you can support me. And it just gives a way for the creator to show the person that wants to support them, like, where the money is going and why. Why would they remove that? I don't know. I think the reason they gave at the time was that of the creators that were using it, they didn't see enough of those creators getting new patrons while they had the goal feature turned on, which seems dumb. That seems like a Patreon issue, not the goal itself issue. Like, what does the goal have to do with anything? It's just a cool little additional feature. Anyway, they removed that. I didn't like that very much. Then they started adding questionable new features the last few years that just seem like they benefit Patreon and not its creators. And most of the new features they added can be accomplished elsewhere in an easier way with less fees. Not to mention, they just added an update where Apple Store users have to pay a 30% increased fee when using Apple Pay to pay for memberships, but also all of the merch in the stores on Patreon, which I never used the merch option on Patreon because it just seemed like they were trying to like funnel us to only using Patreon for everything and then blocking it behind a paywall, which just like it just seems sleazy. I didn't like it. And now on top of all that, they're adding a 30% increase to Apple users and to that store. No, thank you. We can do all that elsewhere without a 30% fee. And as a side note, I can't find anything about Ko-Fi having a 30% Apple Pay fee, and they also accept Apple Pay. So I don't know what's going on there, and I don't know why Patreon has to have this fee and Ko-Fi doesn't. No clue, but it's red flag for me. Also, Patreon still, for some reason, has no single pay options. You can like donate for a month and then cancel, but every time you donate, it's a monthly membership that you then have to cancel. You know, it's not like you can just, here's $10 and that's it. But not only that, you also have to sign up in order to contribute, which people find annoying. On Ko-Fi, you don't. You can just tip $5, here's the coffee. You don't have to sign up, nothing. I already mentioned that I get no interaction on the Patreon posts, which just makes it frustrating because I can't communicate with people properly. I just use Discord. Discord is like the main way I talk to my community. And Patreon, that Patreon feature just kind of means nothing because nobody looks at it. So that's a shame. Also, live stream alerts, they have never ever integrated any live stream alert functionality into Patreon, which blows my mind. I have no clue because all the other platforms have this. Ko-Fi's live stream alert works very well. And it even has a little goal thing that goes into chat to show how far the goal is that I currently have set every time someone donates. So it's just, I don't know, it just works so well. And I love the coffee theme, obviously, and it never breaks. It always works. Like even sometimes my Twitch alerts don't work, but the Ko-Fi alerts have never ceased to work. They are perfect. And the alert will work no matter if you're donating, if you're a YouTube watcher or a Twitch watcher. You both go through Ko-Fi, the alert is the same. I always have problems with my YouTube alerts not working, so that's very annoying. And maybe I'll talk about a little bit about the YouTube memberships and stuff at the end of this video, because that's also kind of in the same vein. But right now I just want to focus on Ko-Fi and Patreon. So anyway, that's really important to me because I live stream a lot, like I said. So I need those alerts to work. I want to thank the people that donate, and I want to bring light to it. And I don't like, for as long as Patreon has been around, I just don't understand why they don't have these very simple features that content creators want and need. It sort of resupplies the idea that they aren't really interested in what the creators need. Instead, they're just interested on what features they can add to get more money because they need to make more money for their investors or whatnot. In general, like I said, Patreon as a company just doesn't really seem to align with what I want to do with my content creation anymore. And I don't really feel like supporting them because everything I hear about the company just, you know, it's a little bit of a red flag, a little bit annoying. And like, I understand that they need to make money and stuff, but it just doesn't make sense to stay there when I could be supporting a better platform, and I could also be making slightly more with less fees. You know, it just seems like a no-brainer to me. But like I said, I signed up for Ko-Fi a year ago just to test it out to see, right? And I have been using it and I've been loving it for live stream alerts and everything like that. But I've also set up a monthly tier system like I had in Patreon, and I'm working on adding some more incentives and fun things that I can do to reward those who, you know, want to actually support monthly. From what I can tell, it's literally exactly the same as Patreon, except less fees. More accessibility, less fees. I can customize things more. You know, it still integrates with Discord. They have lots of other functionalities that I like the polls and the goals, which I love. I already talked about that a little bit. They have like little albums that you can post, like your fan art that you get or whatever else you want to share publicly. You can create little pages that you just can share with your members. If you are an artist, you can sell digital art on there, or you can sell physical things as well. I don't personally use that, but it's super cool. And all of this is at like very low to no fees, and it's good. I can't come up with a counter argument to myself as to why anyone would use Patreon over Ko-Fi. Or I think there's another similar one called Buy Me a Coffee, which is probably like very similar to Ko-Fi. I don't know. But yeah, I hope that makes sense to you guys. If you are one of my Patreon supporters, I wholeheartedly I'm so grateful for the 100 people-ish that are still supporting me on Patreon, because I literally wouldn't be doing this at all if it wasn't for my Patreon supporters. So I don't want to like downplay the supporters at all. It has nothing to do with that. It's just, I don't believe in this platform anymore. And it, you know, that's as simple as it is. If you don't agree with me, that's okay. I'm not going to cancel my Patreon immediately or anything because that would be dangerous. I really do need this money. I'm not making a lot right now. And that's why I was like very scared to make this video, because it's just, it's scary. I don't want to lose the support, but at the same time, there's not going to be a good time to do it. And I have wanted to switch over for around a year when I made my Ko-Fi. I keep getting annoyed at Patreon, and I just keep not switching because it's hard to switch. When I've had supporters for so long on Patreon, they know that's where to go to support me, and it's so hard to switch people over to a new place. I understand that, and I apologize for the need to do this, but it makes sense. And it's kind of like I just need to pull off the Band-Aid and make this decision because it's good for everybody. If you were supporting me on Patreon, please consider changing from Patreon to Ko-Fi and getting some more benefits. Right now, I have one additional one aside from like extra content and stuff. So here's my Ko-Fi page here. And as you can see, it has a goal. It has galleries, which right now I just have a fan art one, which is a few fan art things that I've got over the year. Oh, and then this picture of Bella, which I'm going to be sending more pet pics on here as well. It's really easy for me to just quickly make posts on Ko-Fi, which is another reason why I really like it. But everyone who buys a coffee goes right here, and then I can also reply to everyone individually here. And if you want to support monthly, you just go to membership, and here are all the tiers. So aside from the names being a little different, the price tiers I have for Patreon are pretty much exactly the same as these. But I have added an additional juicy incentive for people that, new people that support at these higher tiers or people that move their Patreon over to Ko-Fi. I will send you a personalized postcard if you provide your address when signing up. Personalized thank you postcard. Hopefully a few of you guys are enticed by that. And I'm trying to think of some other things also to maybe convince people to sort of move over here. So if you have any ideas, let me know. This is a work in progress, this Ko-Fi website. So I'm always going to be updating and changing things a little bit. But I really want this to eventually replace my Patreon page. Here's my Patreon page, by the way. It's kind of sad leaving it behind. I remember making this video and being so excited, and I basically made the page and I was like, well, if people feel like they want to support me enough, and if I get enough monthly income, then I can go full time I can actually quit my job and go full-time content creator. And because of Patreon, that happened. But it wasn't because of Patreon. It was just because at that time there was no other alternatives to Patreon, and now there is. And this is just another one of those things where I'm just stuck in the past, and I haven't like moved on to a better thing. And so I just need to make that move. So I hope you guys understand that this message here that you read, if you have been supporting me for a long time, this message still stands absolutely true. Patreon I make less than I did, previously when I was at the height of my YouTube career, but Patreon is still a lot of my monthly income. I don't make a lot of money every month, and the money that I do make is mostly crowdfunded by you guys. So this income is so important to me and my channels continuing. But as I started building up my second channel, Full Mana, and really pushing the Ko-Fi instead over there and on live streams more and more and more, I started to realize that it's just better. It's just better. And not only that, it's increasing. Like people want to use it more than they want to use Patreon because it's more interactive. It's easier to use. You don't have to log in. And there's no fees for donations. So that's that. I know I rambled a lot. I hope I got my point across. I'm not very good at making these videos. It's terrifying. I don't like asking for money, but at a time where I am not making enough money, I really feel like I need to prioritize the financial side of things and at least stop paying 5% of everything I get from Patreon. And, you know, I'm sure it annoys a lot of you to find out that 5% of your money, or if you're supporting somebody that is a newer Patreon member, 8 to 12% of your money is just going to Patreon instead of the creator. I did say that I wanted to talk quickly about the YouTube thing as well. I have the YouTube memberships turned on both my channels because I know a lot of people don't want to leave the platform to donate, and that's totally fine and viable. But I have also seen some people be surprised when they find out how much YouTube actually takes from that. So just so you guys know, everything donated through the YouTube platform, like memberships, super chats and stuff, I get 70% of that, and YouTube actually takes 30%. So it's very convenient and it's fine to use that, but just so you know, a lot more of that goes to YouTube than the other ways. But this is the best way to get all of the money to the creator without additional fees, and also supporting, in what my opinion is, a better company that has creators in their forefront of their minds still. Hopefully that lasts, but so far Ko-Fi has really impressed me and they seem like a good company. So that's my thoughts on the matter. If you have any concerns or questions, feel free to drop them in the comments below and I'll try to answer them. And I just feel like with so many options being out there for support, I think it's worth talking about some of the options just because a lot of people don't know. And it is important that we're not like throwing our money to businesses that don't really, you know, have our best interests in mind. That always annoys me. So I'm going to be turning off my Patreon tiers. Current patrons can still support there if they want. If you are currently supporting me on Patreon, I would really, really love it if you would consider switching your monthly support over to Ko-Fi, just so that I can start supporting a better platform and slowly move away from Patreon because it just doesn't align with my goals anymore. And I am sick of paying the extra fees to a company that doesn't seem to really be about the content creators anymore, which sucks. I really did like the company initially, and I like their core values. I just think that they're not really living up to them anymore at this point, if that makes sense. Check out my membership tiers here. And if you have any feedback on other things you would like to receive for becoming a Ko-Fi member, then I'm all ears. Let me know. If you've never supported me before and you haven't considered it, or maybe you didn't know about it, I really do not talk about it very much because I don't like to. But if you feel like contributing any amount, buying me a coffee, or if you're feeling very generous to subscribe monthly just for the beans or for some extra cheese, thank you guys so much. And it really makes me feel very special that you guys still want to support me after all these years and after all the like ups and downs I've been through and the changes in my life and the different things that my main channel has gone through, or not things, I guess phases that my main channel has gone through. It's been an exciting ride. I've learned so much, and to have you guys stick with me through all that is just so humbling and makes me feel like I need to keep going. So like I said, without you guys, like mentally and financially, I wouldn't be doing this anymore because, you know, it just, it wouldn't be worth it. But you guys make it worth it. And I love having this job and sharing games with all of you. And I am just so appreciative to be able to do this still to this day. And if you guys want me to talk more about the financial side of things and like how things are going and the changes I've gone through the years, like if you want some sort of weird vlog about that information, I'm willing to talk about it if anybody cares. It's just a topic that I don't talk about often because I don't like talking about money. I don't like managing money. I'm not good at it, and I really should have somebody doing that for me. But here I am as a self-employed person trying to do it all by myself. And you guys make it a reality. So thank you so much. Anyway, I will stop blabbing. I'll see you again for hopefully a more lighthearted vlog next time. Bye, friends.